Okay, so how's everybody doing out there? Happy New Year's Eve. We're into this last day of 2025, December the 31st. We're about 14, 16 hours away from 2026. So, though, when you're sitting back and getting ready to switch over from one time to another time, especially when you're going into the end of the year and getting ready to go into a whole new year. You sit back and you just reflect on everything that has gone on in your life. Throughout the year, you start remembering some of the little small things that, happened. You start remembering some of the big things that happened and things you went through. Um, Two things that really pops out to me. Well, first of all, I'm just grateful and blessed that I am right here, right now, and I've made it almost 365 days. I'm almost there. So I'm grateful for that, blessed for that. And then I start thinking about things that has happened, throughout this year. Started the year off started this year off um, with my brother having to have triple bypass heart surgery. And from November of last year till January the 13th of this year, I was really stressed because I was so concerned about my brother and, making it through this heart surgery because heart condition, heart disease runs deep in my family. And I had already, lost two brothers dealing with that. So I was really concerned, very concerned. But, we got through that. Thank God. Thank God. He made it through that triple bypass and he's doing good. And then around that same time, I was, my family and I, especially Dad and I, we was considering relocating uh, to Georgia, and things just did not work out the way that we had planned. And the way that whole situation went down, and I'm not going to go into depth about it because everybody that's should know. But that was very depressing to me. It was very depressing because I wanted so badly to make that move and transition that part of my life so I would be closer to my kids and grandkids. But it didn't happen that way, and everything happens when it's supposed to happen. So I had to come to that realization that if this was meant to be, then this would have been. I definitely had some shakeups and some room to grow when it came to other members of my family. I had to learn that distance was the answer, and I had to be able to accept that and deal with that and let everyone involved with that situation, grow on their own time and space. But I had to find peace in myself to be okay with, putting that distance there and standing by it and not crossing the line because I'm always one to want to please and make things better. So I had to sit with that. So that was that was a lot. That was a lot. Um, I had to start putting focus on myself a little bit more and be okay with myself, just being okay with me. So that's why also I'm not gonna be too fast or even at all jump on the New Year's resolution thing to do because I feel like things are going to happen throughout this upcoming year that's going to throw me off of that resolution list. I'm just going to get tired and not do it. I'm just going to be in a different space, you know. So I'm not going to set any resolutions or anything like that. I'm going to walk into 2026 with an open heart and an open mind. Of course, I will always have expectations. I will always have goals that I want to reach. So I'm going into it with new dreams, new goals, and things I want to accomplish. And I'm going to be more open to listening more. Of course, being kinder, because I try to be as kind as possible anyway. But I'm going to work on that. And I'm just going to be focused on the things that brings me peace, the things that brings me joy, the things that I want to do, you know, within this next year, if it's God's will. And I'm going to focus on that, you know. And I know there won't be an issue with me being kind, because I'm a kind-hearted person, and I'm a very caring person. But I will set my, I will stick to boundaries. I would stick to, space, giving myself and others space, and not, cross any of that, because everyone needs their own space. Everyone needs to set their boundaries, and people need to accept. And if they can't accept, then maybe, just maybe, they should not be in your space at that time, because I also believe in seasons and reasons and all that. So yeah, I'm just kind of just walk into it on faith, and just know that this just might be the year that change is gonna come, a big change. Yeah, I don't know, but I just got that feeling that this is gonna be a year for big changes. So yeah, so that's what my 2026 is gonna kind of be like, and I'll probably come back and talk to you guys a little bit more about that, into the new year. Okay, but I was also sitting here thinking about traditions, traditions going into the new year that you're supposed to do. If you're from the South, you have heard of some of these traditions, and you're aware of some of these traditions. And I do know that on New Year's Day, my family believed that the first person to walk into your home must be a man. Not should be, must be a man. So sometimes the uncles and the brothers would go around to different family members' home to be the first one to walk across their threshold of their home, into their home, because if a man walks into your house first, that's supposed to be some symbol of, form of, future luck or something coming into your home first. And I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's one of the things. Also, one of the things going into the new year, you're not supposed to wash clothes. My family was very, very, just that was the thing. No one washed clothes. If you didn't have all that done, really before New Year's Eve, you had to just wait, because they truly believe that you would wash someone out of your life if you washed on New Year's Day. So I don't know. It's another saying, another tradition. And of course, we all know about don't sit your purse on the floor, period, any time of the year. But also, you should always have money on you, physically money on you, in your purse, in your pocket. And that's supposed to help to increase your money flow throughout the year if you bring in money into the year, okay? And then, of course, we know about when it comes to the cooking. We know we're supposed to cook the black-eyed peas, the collard greens, and really any part of the pig, pork. Your cornbread, your black eyed peas represents corn and good luck. Um, your collard greens represents paper money, your dollars, your bills, and stuff like that. Your pork, and it can be a lot of time when you're cooking your pork, you're cooking your ham hock into your vegetables, your black eyed peas or your collard greens, but your ham hock, your bacon, your hog dolls, chitlins, whatever that part of the pork, the pig that you're cooking, that's supposed to represent you're moving forward, because pigs only root forward. You never seen, if you live on a farm, you've never seen a pig rooting, and that's what they nose in the ground, like they're foraging for food. You never see them doing it backwards. They're always moving forward. So that's supposed to move you forward with prosperity and the luck and all that. It's all around prosperity, money, luck, and all that, enriching your finances and all that. That's what those traditions are about. But I was thinking about that, and I'm like, you know what? If I don't really know where all those similar symbols came from, with the black eyed peas, the collard greens, and all that stuff. I don't really know how they define that and where it came from. I do think that because all this is basically related to the South, is related to Southern African American families, and this is a lot of their traditions, and this is where it kind of stemmed from and came from. But I think personally that this was just another form, another way of them surviving, because way back then, they didn't have a whole lot of money to go into the stores and buy all this expensive beef and meats and all this kind of stuff. They had to raise their own vegetables. They had to raise their own meat, and that included the pig, chickens. Some of them may have had some goats. They barely, I don't know too many families that had cows. So that was, and they would go fish. So that was their form of survival. They would do these things going into the fall of the year, the end of the summer, and they would can their vegetables or freeze them. They would kill their pig or their chickens, and they would cure that meat and refrigerate that meat. And I think those times, it happened during those months when it was going into the colder months, because there was also a way of them refrigerating it, because some folks had smoke houses, some folks had, you didn't have inside freezers and stuff, so you could cure that meat and hang it in the smokehouse, and it wouldn't get hot or anything like that. So I just think that was their way of surviving. That was their way of celebrating, because it was something that they owned and something that they had, so they could, have, cook these vegetables. And most Southern families always cook vegetables with their meals. They always had vegetables. So that's just how the Southern families was. So I don't know as much as this stuff bringing you different types of fortune and different types of the money, the wealth, the good luck, and the continually moving forward. I don't know about all that. I have believed it for years, because that's what I was taught growing up. And you did these things every year. It was every year. So of course, at that time I believed it but as I've gotten older, I'm like, I don't know if that's really true, but I still do it. I'm not saying I don't do it. I will be getting in here shortly and starting my cooking. First, I would soak my black eyed peas, because I don't do canned black eyed peas. I do the traditional dried black eyed peas, where you soak them in the water for several hours, then you start the cooking process. So I would do that. I do not have canned collard greens. I have fresh, so they have to be chopped up and washed and all that. So I'm going to do that. The only thing I'm not doing this year, I'm not doing any type of hog maws or chitlins or anything like that. We're going to keep it very simple. We're still going to be doing the chicken, because that was usually one of our meats. We would usually have some type of something from the hog, and usually we would have chitlins. We would have chicken too. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna do that. But you know, those traditions was created in the Southern by African Americans, something else that African American family created as their own, so they could have a way to celebrate it, because they had worked the whole year in these fields and for themselves and for others. They had put in the work. So when they had that time to actually, you know, enjoy what they had put in and sit back and prosper off what the work they have done. That's what they did. They like I said, they ate from their own crops. They ate from their own hands what they have grown as far as the vegetables and taking care of those cows. I mean those pigs, and doing that. So that was the part. That was their way of celebrating. That's the way I look at it now. Their way of celebrating. Their way of being grateful for what they had achieved and all the hard work that they had put in throughout the year. So that's what I think the tradition should be more about. The tradition should be, if you're, you know, making your own traditions, they should be about something that you are very proud of accomplishing, something you are very grateful for. And I just think that's what it was. I think the African American families back then in the southern part of the states was grateful they had survived that far. They was able to raise and preserve their own food and prepare it the way they wanted to prepare it, and get to enjoy it the way that they wanted to enjoy it. And that's just what it is. Because like I said, back then they did not go to grocery stores to buy all this meat and different stuff. If they didn't grow it and nurse the pigs, and got the pigs to the place of becoming a hog to, you know, kill, slaughter, whatever you want to call it, then they had no meats. You know, if they didn't take care of those chickens and make sure those chickens was running free and able to eat the way they wanted to eat, then they didn't have any meats. They didn't have eggs. They didn't have, you know, stuff that they needed, that they didn't have to buy, you know, from the store, because they raised it themselves. So I think that was more of the tradition. That was the more of the meaning of being grateful, being thankful, being appreciative, you know, putting in the work, and then enjoying from the work you had put in, and just taking that time as a family to celebrate, because they definitely celebrated as family. They would all get together and enjoy that. They would all get together at that feast. They would all get together to bring that feast together. They would get together to you know, prepare this meal, and prepare the slaughtering of the hog. They would all, you know, make sure that everything is done, make sure that meat is cured and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what it is. But I was just sitting up here thinking about traditions. I was thinking about resolutions and all the things that people do every year around this time of year. You make all these different promises to yourself, and you set out to do these things, and then usually a month to 2 month in, usually by March, it's all done. You fell off. You fell off all those resolutions. You're not doing any of them. You're back to doing some of the old habits that you said you wasn't gonna do, and it's just a recycle. It's a return cycle. It's just going back into the same old thing. So, you know, I was just thinking about, even including myself. There's things I said last year I wasn't gonna do this year, you know, from 2024 to 2025, and I still find myself doing those same things. So I'm just looking at things a little bit different. As you get older, you do start looking at things a little different. But yeah, okay. But you guys have the rest of your New Year's Eve. Have a great time. Start making your memories. You know, be safe. If you're going to be out celebrating, be safe. And you guys just have a great day. And I'm going to try to get back to you guys briefly on New Year's Day tomorrow. If not, then have a great New Year's, okay? Be safe.